Hey dude, I think your weapon's bugged.
Oh no, dude, that was just an emote. Look, see, I can buff it just fine. The animations just look similar.
No, seriously, I think that your weapon has a bug. Look at it.
Oh God! Get it off! Get it off! Get it off! No, 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 no,
Dude,
no.
watch where you're swinging that. Kill it! Kill it!
Get it! Get it! Damn it! Get off
Hey,
me!
wait.
I
It's gone. Where'd it go?
where'd it go? Where'd it go? Is it on me? Is it on me? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Wait. What did you just do?
What are you talking about?
Turn out your left pocket?
Ah!
There it is. Wait, go back to two-handing.
Okay. Wait, where'd it go?
Uh, I think your sword's bugged. Where'd you, get it?
I, uh, I got it from a girl.
Ah, this is, starting to suddenly make a lot of sense. Here, you might need this. Hi, my name's Rust. I'm a Soulsborne content creator with an emphasis on PvP. For Elden Ring, in patch 1.10, the game completely changed. One of the main changes that was made was that every weapon now deals half the normal poise damage after the first swing of its R1 chain. So where a one-handed Greatsword does 203 poise damage on the first attack, it deals only 101 poise damage on every other swing. However, due to either an oversight or a typo, two things escape this nerf: offhand thrusting swords, and specifically, the Darkmoon Greatsword. In this video, I'll be covering how this bug makes the Darkmoon Greatsword the best option for one-handed greatswords in the game, and I'll be providing a showcase covering the concepts covered in the video. If you enjoy the video or find the information helpful at all, be sure to like and subscribe. We were doing some testing and started noticing something strange, so we did some digging and discovered that the second swing of the weapon is even more fucked up than we had ever bargained for. With one-handed greatswords as they currently stand, the second swing of their attack chain can be poised with only 102 poise, and if the opponent is able to poise through that hit, then they will be immediately able to take control of the fight, leaving you on the back foot. Greatswords, being very slow, have a really hard time getting the first hit in, and while being one-handed, they don't have access to hyper armor, so they're pretty much defenseless against smaller, faster weapons. However, the second swing of the one-handed Darkmoon Greatsword is bugged, and does 165 poise damage instead of 101. This in itself greatly improves the viability of the weapon to an extent that I really can't overstate. Being able to poise break on the second swing is great because you aren't just dead in the water after you go for your first attack. But that's not the only bug related to the weapon. On top of having significantly higher poise damage, the second swing of the Darkmoon Greatsword also does a damage level 3 stun. A damage level just refers to the type of stun being inflicted, and where Greatsword normally does a damage level 2 stun, a Colossal weapon deals a damage level 3 stun. This is very significant, as having a damage level 3 stun on this specific attack allows it to true combo into its third swing, and your opponent will be unable to escape it. By the time that they're freed from that stun, you'll have plenty of time to make the decision of whether or not you want to continue to press your advantage or disengage and reset to a safe distance. Normally, one-handed greatswords only have access to one true combo, being the last frame of their running R2 into the first frame of their R1-2. The Darkmoon Greatsword shares this true combo as well, but I want to make something very clear since this is something that people tend to get confused with fairly often. Yes, the Darkmoon Greatsword has a true combo from running R2 into R1-2. Yes, the Darkmoon Greatsword also has a true combo from R1-2 into R1-3. No, the Darkmoon Greatsword can't true combo from running R2 into R1-2 into R1-3. You see, Elden Ring has a mechanic where repeated instances of hit stun reduce the amount of hit stun dealt by the next attack. This is done intentionally by the developers to stop an infinite combo. But there's still one other bug related to this attack. The second swing of the Darkmoon Greatsword doesn't consume any stamina. From what I'm aware, this is the only attack in the game to which that is true. Is this super impactful to how you play the weapon? Not really. But if there is ever any doubt in my mind that this weapon wasn't bugged, that doubt was immediately washed away when I found this out. Now, you might be saying, Rust, it's just one attack. Does it really make all that much of a difference in how you play the weapon? Yes, absolutely. The Darkmoon Greatsword having access to higher poise damage on its second swing and a true combo make it actually viable and usable in this current meta. As it stands, a lot of people are running 109 poise to deal with offhand thrusting sword. As a result, one-handed great weapons really struggle in this patch, since they can never safely go for the second swing without getting severely punished for it. The Darkmoon Greatsword is the only greatsword in the game that does not suffer from this issue when one-handed. If that isn't reason enough, the Darkmoon Greatsword also sports incredibly high damage and innate frost buildup, giving it a powerful projectile in its R2s. This thing does what every other one-handed greatsword can't. It has pressure neutral, it can sustain pressure after this first swing, it has a strong true combo that can guarantee a status proc that can't be rolled out of if you set it up properly. Now, the R2 of the Darkmoon Greatsword is interesting. When buffed, the weapon shoots out a projectile that does a very good job of roll catching an opponent that rolls directly away from you. It can also roll catch fairly well in any direction if you're good at unlocking from your opponent and manually aiming it. On a normal greatsword, the R2 gives a really amazing forward lunging slash that has great range and roll catch potential. One isn't really better than the other, it more just comes down to preference. Overall, I personally prefer the normal greatsword R2s, but that's just me. However, if the Darkmoon Greatsword is not buffed, then you have a really pathetic R2 that has no range, and you're honestly just better off doing anything else. So since it's so vital to get your weapon buffed, it's important to have a strategy to do so in the middle of a fight. One way that I suggest it is either to set up a phalanx or use the glintstone scraps to keep your opponent busy dodging projectiles while you buff your weapon. Once buffed, you really don't have any use for your L2 button, so to give you a little extra utility, you can swap your offhand weapon to something with parry on it, so that you actually have something worth using. Now for me, I really prefer the option of an offhand dagger or offhand thrusting sword for my parry tool, but mainly because I'm very confident in my ability to parry very consistently. If you want to know more about parries or improve your success with them, I highly recommend that you go check out the Koop. He taught me everything I know about parrying, and you can learn a lot from him. His Twitch and YouTube info are down in the description below. Now, with all that covered, it's time to get down into the showcase. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, and if you found the information helpful at all, or have any suggestions on how I can improve in the future, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Enjoy the fights. Since this is more of an educational piece of content, I'll be doing post-commentary for these fights to give better context to what's going on, as opposed to making weird sound effects like I normally do when I do live commentary. So for this fight, my opponent starts off displaying some good control with their movement, so I'm not going to immediately be going for my buff in case they decide to take the opportunity to land a shot on me. I jump to beta roll in, miss, and land the R1-2, and take my true combo. I throw out a little random unbuffed R2. I do this a couple of times throughout the fights, and honestly, it's just because I keep forgetting that I don't have the vertical R2s of the Knight's Greatsword. So I create some distance, pop my scraps, and get the buff off. I don't really know what the deal is with the Shunter swap. I assume that they just meant to go for like a ranged Assault 4. I don't know, but I just kind of wanted to see what they were up to, so they swap back to Claymore, and I land another running R2, but I hit with the first frame, so I'm not able to get the true combo. It's actually pretty difficult to land that combo mid-fight, and oftentimes you might see your weapon pass straight through the opponent and just not hit them, just due to how the hitbox is shaped. They go for a charge R2 here, and I try and punish it, but I went in a little early and we ended up trading. Not a big deal because I have a health advantage, but my opponent's now in feather range, so now their attack and their defenses will be boosted after swapping to their talismans. I free aim a couple of R2s to see if I can get one to stick, but at this point my opponent's playing really carefully now, being at such low HP. I get a little bit of chip, and at this point they decide to swap over to health stock, which honestly is the right call for them. They go for the off-stock hit, but thanks to my high poise, I'm able to tank it and land the R2 to finish the fight. For my next opponent, they're going to be running Zweihander, and start off a little bit more chill than my last opponent, so I get my buff and start filling out their movement. Fossil Swords are tricky because at any point in time they can simply decide to press buttons and not care. So you have to play around them pretty patiently. An off-dagger can provide a lot of support though, giving you the ability to chip at their health and force them to start rolling. They go for an empty jump and delay for a standing attack, which I eat to the face. Then they go for the follow-up after the crouch poke, which I'm able to space and punish with a nice jumping attack of my own. They quick step in and get roll caught by my R2, and I finish the fight with a swipe from the off-dagger as they attempt to mash out a hit stun. Up next, we see my opponents running Halberd off-dagger, and we start off the fight by spacing out their running attack with one of our own. I hit with the early frame of the attack, so I miss the true combo. Turn around and trade into their dagger. Roll catch with the R1, chip with the dagger, and then land another roll catch to finish the fight. This fight would have gone a lot differently if my opponent had chose to make use of the range advantage that they have with the halberd. Generally, you don't want to be rolling in here when you don't have something with a strong crouch attack like a lance or katanas. Once again, we run into the opponent that I faced in the first round, and they start off this time immediately with the halberd, making a good adaptation based on their previous match. We dodge the running attack and get into a position to do some damage. They roll through the jump attack, but they get caught by the backswing into a true combo. And once again, I forget what weapon I'm using, and I use the bad R2. We punish the running attack with a crouch attack, which has a higher priority in this case. After going for the bad R2 a second time, I decide that it's probably about time that I actually buff my weapon. At this point, they go for some parries, and I try to play around them and end up finishing the fight. Now, normally, I tend to think of parry spam as being kind of like disrespectful, I don't know. But I think they were just fucking around and having fun. But there's generally some really reliable ways to perform a setup parry where you can get yourself into position to land one consistently, even with the worst of parry tools. I really like daggers and rapiers for parries because they don't telegraph themselves as parry tools. So people are much more likely to fall for the setup parries than if you had a shield in your hand. With the Dark Moon Greatsword, a parry tool is pretty free to use since after you buff with your L2, it's kinda useless, so you might as well put a parry tool on it. In this case we land it and then we go for the R2 on a wake up, and it works out pretty well because they just walk into it and they don't dodge. So we see that this opponent's going for as much burst damage as they can stack with the Raptor's Feathers, Cryblade, and RKR, but honestly I'm happy to let them set up their buffs. So he proceeds to walk in a straight line towards me, and I just kind of want to see what his playstyle is like, so I let him take a few swings, and he's not going for roll catches, he's just rolling in and swinging. But we learned something really interesting here. He's using straight swords, which do only a damage level 1 stun. As long as I trade into him with my R1-2, then I still get my true combo, since he's canceling the recovery of my attack, and I get my first R1 to come out fast enough in order to get the true combo. This happens twice, but my opponent isn't adapting their playstyle, so I bait a roll and go for the parry off their attack to finish the fight. Up next we see my opponents using katanas and buffing with Bloodflame Blade. I expect Spin Slash here because it's stupid and broken and it pairs frustratingly well with Bloodflame Blade, so why wouldn't they use it? But we end up seeing that my opponent actually is based and uses Unsheath like a true weeb. I fail to space out their attack, but I'm able to turn around and get a running R2 in response. And secure a roll catch with the R2 as they panic roll away. We roll their jump attack and catch them with a crouch attack of our own, but we learn here that our opponent likes to hold forward and they proceed to swing repeatedly. This always catches me off guard, because in my mind it never makes sense to go for follow-up swings, so people tend to get away with it fairly frequently with me. But now knowing how they play, we roll their jump attack and then land us another parry with a dagger to finish the fight. Small fast weapons like Shamshir are really strong against one-handed great weapons in general, just because they're so much slower and they don't have the protection of hyper armor to prevent them from getting staggered. Here we start off this match with some good spacing, landing a nice crouch attack, and roll catching with the R2. We reset, and I have a great health advantage and status pressure at this point, so I bait them into a trade with a third R1 as a mix-up, and finish the fight with a running R2 roll catch. I should have played this endgame better here, to be honest, but it worked out well enough, so I'll take it. Now, I have no idea who this opponent is, but we have incredible latency to each other. It's not often that you get matches like this where you can play super tight with your spacing, but when you do, it's so fucking satisfying. We get some chip with the op dagger, but it's back to neutral we go. We end up spending a lot of time in neutral here. My opponent's doing a very good job of not going for attacks when it's not safe, and they're doing a great job of react rolling my Greatsword. But eventually we're able to get a good read on them predicting the running attack and land JR1. Connect the frost proc on the backswing, and I try and get greedy and pick up the third swing. Sometimes after getting stunned by the frost proc, the opponent will eat the follow-up hit just because they were caught off guard by the proc. Now I have no idea what the intent was here, but I don't know, man. I love people like this. But we get back to the fight and they catch me with a rope pot, and I unlock and free aim my dagger away to keep from getting punished. Roll their hit and pluck them out of the air with a running R1. Follow it up with the R1 roll catch to finish the fight. So overall, the bug of the Dark Moon Greatsword unironically makes it the strongest option of the one-handed greatswords. Sure, you don't have options of Ashes of War like Storm Stomp and Sword Dance, but especially at higher levels of play, these Ashes of War have less and less likelihood of actually landing on your opponent. So really, the base moveset of a weapon tends to outshine anything that an Ash of War can provide. But use what you enjoy and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But that's going to do it for this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.